Hey everyone, it's Jonathan and welcome back to Wonderland Wednesday. Today's episode is a little bit different. We're not talking about a version of Alice in Wonderland, though Alice does factor in here. Today we're talking about 3 different takes on the author of Alice in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll. Since I podcast about so many different stories, I've thought about profiling the authors for a while now, especially in the case of Alice in Wonderland, since this was basically the story that started it all for me. I did sort of test the waters recently when talking about Saving Mr. Banks during my series on Mary Poppins, but talking about Lewis Carroll has been an idea for a lot longer, and part of this episode almost happened well over a year ago already. Today we are talking about a short film, an episode of a Canadian kids TV show, and an episode of a French animated series. We'll start with the most traditional film here. Sincerely Yours, Lewis Carroll is a 2004 short film that I originally thought was going to be a bit more comprehensive. Alice does feature in this one, but it really only covers a very short period of time in the life of Lewis Carroll, and it's only about 20 to 25 minutes. Which is about how long all of these are, but I think I was thinking of this as a more traditional biopic, and this was too short to fully be that. After that, we have an episode of the 1998 Canadian children's television show Mentors. My original idea with this was to do a mini-series of short episodes, and this was going to be the first one. Jenna and I had planned to cover this way over a year ago, and we never did, and eventually we came back to the idea with this, a longer podcast episode. Mentors is an educational-ish TV show featuring kids with a machine that can pull famous historical figures from the past. And in the first season episode, Lewis in Wonderland, they bring Lewis Carroll into modern day and have a series of misadventures with him. And then finally we have a 1993 French animated series called Orson and Olivia. This was another show that I'd never heard of. I don't think this ever aired in the US. And if this episode we watched The Other Side of the Fog was any indication, I think I can see why. This show is about Victorian orphans, and not that this was bad, I actually think this was my favorite of the 3, and the one we talked about the longest. Shocker that the animated one would be my favorite. But this episode, where they meet Lewis Carroll, was so bizarre that I don't think a lot of kids would like it. And it had such an eerie feeling about it that I don't think a lot of parents would appreciate it either. Anyway, we'll get into that later. For now, Jenna and I will kick things off with Sincerely Yours, Lewis Carroll.
Which one do you want to start with?
I think we could probably start with Sincerely Yours, Lewis Carroll. I feel like I'm going to have the least to say about this one.
It's the most straightforward one, yeah.
It is the one that fits the bill for what I was looking for the best.
Yeah.
It's like I've had an idea of doing sort of Lewis Carroll, I don't want to say biopics, because it doesn't have to be a biopic, just media that's a little more about him than Alice in Wonderland. Just because I thought it would be interesting, like for all the different stories that I do for every version ever, I've been thinking about basing something on the author just to learn about the author more. So Lewis Carroll was one of the first people that I thought of, and this fits that bill the best, I feel. But I also feel like it's like the least, like I have the least to say about it because the least amount of things happened in it.
Yeah, that's why I use the word straightforward. It's good, and it's very like, I don't know how to say it. Like, it's very vibes, but it's not very substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not sure if someone who watched it who didn't know who Lewis Carroll was, I'm not sure what you would get out of it. But if you know who he was, and then you know like these are all like quotes he actually said and like real poems that he's quoting and stuff like that, then like it's like, yeah, this is nice. I think it looks beautiful. I like the attention to detail and like actual artifacts used. But other than that, it's just kind of, yeah, like you said, not much actually happens. You see him in environments and like doing activities he would have actually done. Except for they couldn't film at Christchurch. That would have been the only like thing that could have made it better.
Was that Christchurch in the background?
No, unfortunately.
What was that then? Because I thought that's what they were... I get maybe they were going for that vibe, but not actually there, but I thought that's what it was.
I'm not sure what it was. At least I'm pretty sure it's not Christchurch. It's been the funny thing is I did actually attend like a screening with the film maker, but I don't remember what he said. I only really remember that the artifacts they used were like antiques. And that they wouldn't like he couldn't film at Christchurch. But like maybe I don't know, maybe he could have done it in the distance. But I don't remember what area he said it was. Oh shoot. I wish I remembered that before. Maybe I could have tried to find the talk and rewatch it. But oh well. But they did substitute another building for it, and I don't think it looks the one where it like it's like a outside at his apartment first before you actually see him in his apartment. I think it's when he starts to glue the photos. That's definitely not Christchurch. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, it's a straightforward film. That's my only really like comment about it.
It feels like something that the hardcore Carolians will love.
Yeah.
But even though I have this podcast, I don't feel like I'm hard enough core Carolian to love this. It was just like, well, that was a thing.
That's fair. Yeah, I think if I had a complaint about this one, and when I say complaint, I mean it very like vaguely. I don't feel like there's much of a narrative.
Yeah.
But though that said, like at the same time, I could kind of enjoy it's more like vignettes, I
Yeah.
guess. Well, even that might be stretching the term. It's more of, you know what? It reminds me of those like people who on social media who like post quick videos of their life, like lifestyle content.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
it kind of reminds me of that, except for this was years before that was actually really a thing. So I guess
Lewis
like
Carroll, the lifestyle vlogger.
yeah. Today I'm melting some glue and making some hot glue and pasting some pictures into albums. You know.
I mean, if he had made something like that, there would be an audience for it.
I'm actually kind of like I wonder if you could like try to edit it down into like a TikTok kind of format.
I bet you could, actually.
Yeah. Actually, that's hilarious. I'm actually kind of tempted right now. But anyway, sorry, it feels kind of like that, but more of the Victorian version of it, and it actually like lingers on the scenes and does, not quick edits.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's not bad. It's just kind of you get what you get. That's all I really got to say about it. But I do like part of me is afraid that I'm gonna make it out like I don't like it. I do like it. It's just not my favorite thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than Dream Child, and that's a huge compliment. There we go.
I still have yet to see Dream Child, so I can't
I'm
say
really
one way or
holding
the
off
other.
on it. I really don't want to rewatch it. But on the other hand, like I think you would need me there for a podcast for that one. So
It
when
is
we get
what I
to it, we
want
go.
to do. Like, the only thing that I'm looking forward to, I guess, would be like the puppets and costumes.
The puppets are good. I think, well, it might be, I don't know if you want to watch the Wednesday play version of it first as well. That was basically when it was originally written as a script for television.
Okay.
Um, and it didn't, and then later it became a movie script because there's an evolution of it. But anyway, we're getting off topic. But I don't know, are we done talking about Sincerely Yours already?
I mean, I guess so. I don't have a lot to say about it. It was interesting. It wasn't my favorite thing, but I know that there are people out there who
Curious
will
which
love
one's your
this type of
favorite.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't really actually. I don't know which one is my favorite.
So for context for everyone listening, I think I was the one who chose the selection.
Yes,
And I was just like, these are really weird,
they
but
are. They're
yeah,
all they're all strange and completely different from each other. So it's
yeah.
in situations like this, it is hard for me to pick a favorite because how do you compare these?
I do have a favorite of the three, but I can't pick my least favorite. I guess technically this would be my second favorite, maybe. So, it's okay. But I kind of like all three of them. But yeah, they're very like, I was like, Jonathan's gonna have an interesting time. Um,
I guess if I'm thinking about which one I would rewatch right now, then yes, I do have a favorite in that regard. But it's not
okay.
really because I loved any of these. They were all just kind of interesting in very different ways.
Shall we move on to the next one?
We can move on to Mentors because this is
Okay.
one that we had planned to do over a year ago. I looked at the date on the file of where I took the notes and it was February 9th of last year.
Oh, geez. Okay.
So this one is a long time coming, but I guess there's a reason we forgot about
Yeah. Well,
it.
actually, this one's my favorite of the three, personally. But it
Again,
is
it's
weird.
fine, but yes, it's weird. It's like,
Yeah.
what? Where did this come from?
So, like, already, gays, I'm pretty sure it's Canadian, and I don't know why the Canadian 90s, 2000s Canada had such a hold on kids' shows at the time.
This really
Um,
felt like something I would have seen on PBS. It really had
yeah.
that feel, and I know a lot of the PBS media I watched was from Canada.
But what was weird about it is I never heard about this show before this, ever.
No, I had never
Like,
heard of this either.
I don't even remember how this came to my attention. Someone in the old server must have brought it up. But I was just like, what is this show? I don't understand. You bring dead people to life? So, like, Mentors, if you're listening to this, you haven't watched it. The basic premise is that these kids have some kind of machine. It's more of a time travel machine, I guess. But instead of traveling to the time, it plucks someone out of time and brings them to the present. And I guess that's the idea. They pluck people you would consider maybe a mentor, and things happen. Maybe wacky things, I guess, shenanigans. And so they do that to Lewis Carroll, and that's this episode. But yeah, I had no context for what this was. I still haven't seen another episode of this show at all, just this episode. Um, but personally, I like it. I don't like the show enough to look up the other episodes,
Mm-hmm.
but I like the concept of the Lewis Carroll episode. It's a solid script. The only thing I don't really like is Carol's wig, and I don't like. I feel like the actor was a little bit of a miscast as well.
The actor is
Um,
Tom Cavanaugh. I
I
was
don't know who that is.
he showed up and I was like, wait, what?
Oh,
He was the bad guy on the CW show The Flash. Well,
I've never seen
not the
that.
bad
Yeah.
guy. He played maybe partly about. He played so many characters on that show. I haven't watched the whole show, but I know that he played. I guess he wasn't a bad guy at first, but then he kept coming back as other characters. There was like a multiverse involved, I think. I don't remember it's been a while since I watched any of The Flash, but Tom Cavanaugh, that's where I know Tom Cavanaugh from. So it
Okay.
was very weird seeing him show up as Lewis Carroll.
And then he plays it kind of like a clumsy fop or something, like a dandy.
Hmm.
I don't really know what he thinks he's doing. Um, but it's not the worst, but it's also not the best. But I guess, the reason why I like this one is more because I like the actual script of the episode itself. I like the connection to memory. It's not exactly what I consider the point of Alice to be, but it's very like close, maybe kind of what the point of Alice is supposed to be, in that Alice is meant to be about telling others childhood stories and passing on the joy,
Hmm.
which is essentially what the girl's grandmother was trying to do for her. She left Alice and she wanted to pass the story on to her granddaughter. And I also thought the ending was quite nice. So, massive spoilers, but, I doubt anyone cares. But that the grandmother passes before she can meet Lewis Carroll, and he ends up comforting the girl about, like, and the part about, like, Memory's Mystic Band. As someone who's lost someone, I thought it was touching, in its own way. Is it, like, really strong, though? Like, it's not a strong story. It's an interesting story. I don't know. It is my favorite of the three, but it is kind of a weird one. What are your thoughts about it?
It was just an odd experience because I felt like I was watching something I would have watched as a kid, except it was something
It
that I
has,
had never watched
yeah,
before.
it has a nostalgic feeling, but I've never seen it before.
Hmm. It really felt like something I would have watched. Like, it reminded me of Ghost Rider. Like, there was a show on PBS called Ghost Rider. It also might have been a Canadian show. I'm not sure. And I haven't watched it since I was a little kid. But it was about this ghost that communicated with kids and taught them things, I guess. It's been way too
It's
long
giving
since I've seen it.
Canadian kids TV vibe already, I can tell you that.
I should look it up right now and see where it was made because I bet it was a Canadian production.
But why did Canada have such a grip on children's television then? It's quite odd.
It was made in Brooklyn, so I guess not.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
But it has a similar, like watching this, I for whatever reason I was reminded of Ghost Rider. I don't really know why, because it's been so
Hmm.
long since I've watched Ghost Rider that I don't remember much of what Ghost Rider was.
Similar feel, I guess. I haven't seen it, so I can't really chime in on that. This Ghost Rider is about a ghost.
Yes,
So
but I
dead
don't really.
person. Lewis Carroll is also a dead person. Yeah, there you go. That's
Okay, according to the Ghost Rider Wikipedia page, it was revealed in a 2010 interview that the ghost from Ghost Rider was a runaway slave from the Civil War.
Oh, okay.
I guess that sort of makes sense because it says he taught other slaves how to read and write and was killed by slave catchers and their dog. This was not in the
That's
show.
really
This was
that's
not
really
in the
dark for a
show.
kid show. Yeah.
I would not have gotten that from watching the show.
Well, that's like childhood trauma unlocked. Like, I
They
haven't seen it,
they did
but
not make this clear. Says it was an interview in 2010 that all this was revealed. So this is like the producer writer's headcanon, I guess.
okay.
So this was not
So,
in the show. I did not remember any of that from watching Ghost Rider.
all right. Did you have any thoughts about mentors?
That was my main thought. It felt like a PBS show I would have watched as a kid. Like
Yeah.
it was good, but it wasn't good enough that I was like, I need to watch more of this. It's like, yeah, that was interesting. Maybe if there was another famous person that I'm
That
doing
might
as,
be relevant to your topics or
yeah,
something.
then I might be interested in watching another episode. But just sometimes I'll watch a kid's show and it's like, yeah, that was good. I should watch some more of this. But this was just like, that was interesting. But I don't feel any immediate need to go and find more episodes of Mentors.
Hmm. So I got a couple more things myself. So there's a plot hole. How can Lewis Carroll be inspired by what he sees in the future that is inspired by his story? What the heck?
I think that's called a bootstrap paradox.
Yeah, kind of stupid, but whatever.
There's some different episodes of Doctor Who that have dealt with stuff like that. Like someone knows something that they knew when they travel in time, and it doesn't really make sense, and it causes sort of a time loop, and there's no real way to explain it away.
Yeah, I guess. But I feel like with Doctor Who, at least it's more of. I feel like it's almost more world building in that, where it's like the Doctor is so tied into the way we know the world and our history that he's accidentally influenced our history.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this is just, it's no reason really. Like,
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where they don't expect you to think too deeply on it.
yeah. I think also at this point, Lewis Carroll already had his pen name, but they act like he didn't. So I guess it's kind of funny to have like Charles Dodson. We got the wrong guy. Um, but at the same time, like he would be like, "Well, that's the pen name I've been publishing under, but how did you know that's me?" And can you imagine if you got ripped out of your current time stream because of something you haven't even done yet?
That would be weird. I mean, it
Yeah,
would
and
be
then they were
weird if
like,
it was because of something I had done, but
yeah.
yeah, that
But I
would
mean,
be
at
odd.
least make more sense because it's something you've done. Like, oh, we loved your book, and it's like, oh, okay. But then it's like, we love your book. I'm like, I haven't written a book. What are you talking about? Um, I feel like that would be super disorienting.
It would be, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, the only other comment I have is it me, or are they trying to like imply that Carol and the mom have chemistry?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I was just like, there's a lot of focus on him with the mom. It's kind of weird.
There was a lot of weird things in here, like them like running through people's backyards and then
That was
tripping over
also weird.
lawn
I was like,
flamingos.
yeah, I was like, wow, can't
I mean,
just trespass on people's property.
they were trying to do like a take on the croquet scene because there's like they're slipping on croquet balls. There's a big angry lady who wants to take off their head.
Yeah. And I guess it wouldn't make sense for people to be playing croquet in a public park or something. I don't think there's any rule against playing croquet in a public park, but I guess that's not something people do.
I don't know. I've never really thought about going to a public park and
Yeah,
playing
but
croquet.
we should have a angry lady who might inspire the Queen of Hearts, I guess. So,
Oh, are they trying to say that this inspired him to, I didn't even think of it that way.
I don't know. That's the only reason why I can think why you would do it this way, because you want to imply she
I
inspired the
just
Queen of
thought that it
Hearts or
was the
something.
writers doing a cheeky nod to the story, like wink,
Mm.
wink, nudge, nudge. I wasn't thinking of it as like, this is what inspired.
Yeah, but like, well, and that's the thing. Like, everything he sees there inspires him,
I
including
guess
like,
so.
yeah. At least this one isn't a time paradox thing because like this lady probably wasn't inspired by Alice in Wonderland to play croquet and have a
No,
girl
yeah.
come into her yard. But the incident with the rabbit at the store is
I
like,
was just thinking about that. So does that mean that the bookstore rabbit is supposed to be the white rabbit?
yeah, he's like,
Well, I
I'm
mean,
late for a
he
very
is,
important
but
date.
like for Lewis Carroll, so did he see this guy and be like, I'm gonna put that guy in a book?
Yeah, apparently, according to this, that's exactly how it happened.
Apparently, I did not think deeply enough about this episode because I was not thinking of this stuff as inspiring him. I was just thinking of it as the writers doing nods to the books.
And then at the end, he's like, I think I have a story to tell Alice Little now. So like, yeah, he's inspired by the events he's seen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes
yeah.
this better or worse.
It makes it different. That's all I know.
When you were talking about the paradox stuff, I was just thinking of the Walrus and the Carpenter scene because they were like directly talking about his books. I was not
Yeah,
thinking about like the guy in the rabbit suit and the and the incident with the flamingos.
yeah. Anyway, I don't think I have anything else to say about this one. I have probably more to say about the next one, but yeah.
That's fine. I'm glad you have more to say about the next one because the next one, I was so confused. this is this is like it's not the same as when I watched Alice at the Palace, but I had the same type of feeling. Like I feel like I'm in a dream and I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, so this
this
one's a really weird one. Yeah,
it
it's
is.
it's
This
probably
one,
the weirdest of all the three, all three of them.
like with Mentors, I felt like I was watching a PBS show, except with this one, it was more like I was watching a PBS cartoon from an alternate dimension. It was like, yes, it's in English, but it's also like speaking a language I don't understand. I have no idea what's going on. I really feel like I'm dreaming. I was,
This might not make sense, but to me, this is like if you were in a liminal space and there happened to be a TV and the TV was showing this. Like
yes,
that's how I feel.
that,
That's how I feel about this show. It feels very liminal and it doesn't exist in our plane of reality,
yes.
but it does.
And I'm curious to, like, this one I might seek out more of. I think this is probably my favorite only because I feel like I would watch this again because I'm just so confused by it. And I'm just curious if other episodes of this show feel the way this episode feels.
I
Or
actually
is it a
haven't
real
seen the
cartoon?
others. Yeah, I haven't seen the other episodes. The show itself, I do know, is kind of weird. So it's based off, I think, of a comic series called Bessel and Victoria, which was like a French comic strip about British orphans in London. Because, like a lot of kids just used to live on the streets in London. And, I don't really know what the target audience is supposed to be, though, because that was a really rough life. And
Hmm.
this cartoon makes it seem like it seems like it's supposed to be for kids, but like it feels kind of a little edgier than a normal children's cartoon. I feel like at the same time,
Yeah, I don't
like
know because like they made it seem like something really bad happened to the little kid named Froggy. Like she
yeah,
disappeared with apparently Lewis Carroll, and I was
yeah,
like, what are they implying here?
yeah. That's what I mean. It's a little edgier, and this one I think maybe it's because it's partly French. But I feel like they're definitely playing with the myths and stereotypes around Lewis Carroll. And in the end, like it all ends up being wholesome and fine and nothing like that happens supposedly. But it's definitely, I think it definitely borders the edge. But in which case, like, how strange to make it into an episode for a children's show.
That's why I want to know what the rest of this series is like. Is it always like this, or is this just one really weird outlier?
I have no idea. I also think it's kind of weird that it even got dubbed into English because I can't think of any like any channel that would show this at all.
Yeah, I don't know, because like I said, it felt like a PBS cartoon, but then nothing about this seemed like a show from PBS. Like it felt and didn't feel like this is why it's so weird because it did feel like a PBS cartoon, but this is not the subject matter that a PBS show would tackle. Because the
Yeah.
PBS show is like there had to be some sort of educational purpose for it. And I didn't get any sort of educational purpose out of this. Because, like, it reminded, I think the reason it felt like a PBS show is because it reminded me of a show called Liberty's Kids. Like, it doesn't even really look like Liberty's Kids. It just, because it was a historical cartoon. But
Uh-huh.
Liberty's
Yeah.
Kids, like, taught actual history. And I don't think that there was any actual history in this. It was just weird.
So it looks like it never aired in America. So it was a French-Italian co-production. It aired in Italy, Poland, the UK, Australia, Malaysia, Singapore, Germany, Portugal, South Africa, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, Hungary, and Greece. But not America, which is kind of weird because the dub is so like it sounds like the voices are meant to be American accents,
Yeah, I don't
which
know.
again is weird because it's supposed to take place in London and it was never aired in America. If you're gonna air it in UK, you might as well do English accents, but whatever. Maybe they were trying to air it in America.
I wonder if the dub was produced in Canada.
Oh, maybe. I guess you might be able to call these Canadian accents, maybe, but they don't sound that Canadian to me. But that's all I got. Nothing about any information about the dub. But yeah, it's a weird vibe. I think it's also just personally for me as a kid show, I just think it's so weird to make a kid show about like homeless kids in the Victorian era, but it's weirdly lighthearted even though like it's kind of horrifying at the same time.
It like I want to say it was not horrifying, but also it just had a vibe of like maybe eeriness more than
Yeah.
horrifying. Like it was just so strange. And I don't think they meant it to be.
And when I say horrifying, I mean more about like just that the idea of kids living on the streets by themselves and no adults is kind of horrifying. I
Yeah.
wouldn't make a children's show out of that concept.
I think you can do that. I think I would have liked a show like that as a kid because I loved orphan-based media as a child.
Okay. But I mean, I liked Annie, but like even Annie has adults in her universe.
Yeah, I don't know. I was a weird kid. If a child was orphaned and alone, I was all over that. I loved the Boxcar Children. I loved Oliver Twist.
Oh,
And
really?
yes, I loved the story Oliver Twist. I had the book. Like that's the only Charles Dickens novel that I actually read as a child. I I loved
I
or
read Zero as a kid.
I wanted to be an orphan. Like I didn't want my parents to die, but I wanted to be an orphan.
The only I actually, to be honest, I did kind of feel that too, but it's because Shirley Temple was often an orphan in her stories, and I was like, things must just happen to orphans.
I did like a bunch of those too.
Yeah.
I loved Heidi. I loved A Little Princess. I loved it
Ooh, we should do
when she was an
if you ever
orphan.
do Shirley Temple movies, I'm all for it.
That
Um,
I will eventually do Heidi and A Little Princess, so those will be on there.
okay, yeah, I'm up for those. Though she did other literature-based ones, but I imagine you're probably not doing
Rebecca of
those.
Sunnybrook Farm is another one. That was another
Yeah,
literature-based Shirley Temple orphan
we'll have to
story, I
talk about how
believe.
that has nothing to do with the book. But
It's been too long since I've read the book and seen the movie, so I don't remember what the differences would have been.
completely different. But anyway, so this episode, I don't know It's definitely really eerie, and even though I feel like they're being a little bit edgy about Lewis Carroll, I really like the eeriness of it. I love the idea of like going through the fog, and I feel like it's very Carrollian, and which is a high compliment to get from me. Because most of the time when people pull stuff out to be Alice, like Alice in Wonderland tangent media, and they make something up, I think it's totally incompatible with the original Wonderland, original Alice, like the words in like Burton's Alice or something, or
Mm-hmm.
the mushroom swamp or something in Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, like stuff like that. So when I say that, I think the idea of going through the fog and before everything has it starts with T, that kind of stuff. I don't know, just feels very Carolian to me. That's a huge compliment. Reminds me of how Carol says you're supposed to meet fairies, which is you're supposed to feel eerie, and it all starts with the eerie feeling. Which so that's on Alice. It's a later work, but he said something very similar. So I guess that's why I feel like this works.
Those things all did remind me of the way things are in his story, but again, in a very off way. It was from an alternate dimension.
Yeah,
It was just there was just something off about it.
yeah.
It was such an odd experience watching this thing.
I think what's also interesting. So in the episode, they end up at this weird like townhouse. Okay, so like obviously, at first you think it's a dream or something, so you're not thinking too deeply about what this area is. But then it turns out it's not actually. It maybe isn't a dream at the end. It all did happen. They were just scared out of their like they didn't understand that it was a weird thing going on. But then it's like, wait, what happened then?
Yeah, I don't know.
What is this place? Is it like a Victorian escape room kind of drama society thing? Like these weirdos are like, we're really into immersive role play. Let's make a clubhouse or something, and we just put weird stuff in it, and then we'll like play around like it's real or something. um, which if that's the case, that's amazing. Count me in. Like maybe that should be a thing.
I kind of like your comparison to a liminal space and an escape room. So this feels like an escape room in a liminal space that's themed around Lewis Carroll's works.
Yeah, it could work. I think there was an immersive experience, like theater experience, that was kind of similar to this kind of vibe of like liminal. Actually, I feel like Alice could use more liminal adaptations. I'm up for that.
Part of me thinks that's a
Now,
great idea, and part of me is like, no. But also, I would definitely watch it, so maybe it is a good idea.
there was someone who asked semi recently on the Alice Wonderland subreddit, like, what are surreal adaptations? And they had some pictures of like surreal pictures and asked if there were any Alice's like these pictures and very like classic surrealism pictures. And I was like, you know what? Actually, there hasn't been that many like real surrealistic Alice's in terms of like the art style.
Hmm.
Um, so it's like I think we need more.
It does feel like
Yeah,
there should be something more than there has been. Because a
yeah,
lot of adaptations are kind of straightforward. There hasn't really been any that leaned into the real surreal nature of the story. Because, yes, Alice in Wonderland is a straightforward story, but it is also very surreal because it is a dream. So
yeah,
if somebody wanted to lean into that, they really could make something unique.
yeah. I think yeah, I noticed that there was kind of a missing step here, like because the story is primed for that kind of experience. And I think this episode is probably like the closest we have so far to a truly surreal Alice, I feel like. Though that said, there has been surreal Alices, but they've been more of a also connected to something else. Because I'm thinking like the 1966 Jonathan Miller version. I feel like that's a bit more like Victorian surrealism. It's
Yeah,
still it's still kind of inground with reality. I
it
think a little
is.
bit too
Yeah.
much to be like pure surrealistic.
But it's also another one where it just feels kind of off
Yeah,
because it is kind of like a dream. It is like it's not the same as this Orson and Olivia cartoon, but it does feel just slightly wrong in a way
yeah.
that I like.
Yeah. And then I guess the Svankemeyer version, 1988, is
Oh,
also
yes. Yes.
surreal. But again, I feel like I don't know. That feels like more grungy to me. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the terminology, like surrealist aesthetic terminologies are, but I feel like kind of like pure surrealism, Alice is still kind of missing.
It
Um,
is.
yeah. So this is pretty close to that feeling of what I think a surreal Alice might feel like. Also, the music is so unnerving in this too, so
I
it
think
works
that's
very well.
part of what was getting to me because
Yeah.
I just did not know how I was supposed to feel.
Yeah, it's very mysterious. Like, how am I supposed to feel about anything that's happening?
Well, when
And
I
you
went
just feel
in, I thought it was
unsettled.
just a
Yeah.
fun cartoon. I thought it was just going to be like these two little British kids are meeting Lewis Carroll and they're going to have some sort of a Alice in Wonderland based adventure. And then
That kind of happens.
he looks off and seems to kidnap their friend, and then they have to find her, and then they're lost in this I guess liminal space with all
Yeah.
these weird things happening that are just like slightly unsettling. And it's like, I don't know what this show is.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I also have never seen another episode of the show. This is my only context for the whole series. And a part of what also was weird about the experience was just experiencing the show in general
Mm-hmm.
of like the show, children's show about these two like London orphans, huh? I don't know. To me, it is a little scary for them, at least because, they lose their friend and they don't have anyone they could ask for help. It's all on them.
Yeah, which is why
Um,
this just felt so odd.
yeah. But at the same time, there's nothing like really truly threatening. Uh,
There
Like
isn't, but you
yeah, they
don't
get
know that
chased.
when you're watching
Yeah,
it.
yeah, they get chased. They think at some point that their friend Froggy, because for some reason she's called Froggy, has been turned into a frog. Maybe that's a bad thing. I guess it's a bad thing, but like the show doesn't treat it like a bad thing. It's just kind of a thing that's happening. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's like with everything that was happening. Things were just happening, and the show was not giving you enough context as to is this bad or not?
Yeah, you just get the music is unnerving, but it's not like scary.
No, it's just slightly off.
Yeah, it's just very dreamlike, basically. It's kind of like when you're in a dream and weird things happen.
Yes, like the whole time I was watching it, I felt like I was in a dream, and then towards the end, I was like, I guess that makes sense because it's sort of revealed that it was a dream, but then it wasn't a dream. It was all some sort of prank question mark. I don't really know what happened.
I don't think it was a purposeful prank. Okay, this is my headcanon. All right, so Lewis Carroll is in this weird like immersive role play society where they were role playing Alice in Wonderland. They thought he told them that he had like some kid participants, and maybe he found out that the kid, he saw the kids later, so maybe he told them that two more had come, and everyone else thought they were in on it, so they're like, let's play, and but the kids are like, what's happening? They don't get it, and Lewis Carroll is not very good at explaining things. Um, I mean, he's like, yay, photographs. So he photographs them in the trial scene from Wonderland, but they don't know what's happening. And then they're exhausted, so they fall asleep. And he, like, oh, tired orphans. I'll just dump them back at the dock in their home boat. I just send Rocky home with the finished pictures. And yeah, so from their perspective, it was a jolly old time for the orphans. Maybe not so much from the orphan perspective.
Yeah, I
They
don't
appear
know.
they seems they hated it. Oh yeah, Alice Little is also in this one, though she doesn't look exactly like her real life self. I guess neither does Lewis Carroll. But it was very interesting the dichotomy. So like they meet her like well dressed, and they originally mistake her for Froggy, which is also interesting because Froggy's blonde, which Alice is very much thought to be a blonde, but the Alice Little in this was brunette, like she was in real life.
Hmm.
Like And so it's like, how could you mistake them? They're like, oh, yeah, you're dressed too nice to be Froggy. And then later they see her like inside the weird clubhouse thing in a room that looks like the alleyways of London. And she's in a beggar outfit, which is obviously a reference to Alice Little's beggar costume picture. And it's like, whoa, man, that's deep. Interesting that you have references to like real life things in this in a show that was, I guess, meant for children.
I
Um,
guess it was too deep for me because I did not realize that was a reference to something.
oh yeah, it is. So there's these two pictures of Alice Little that are meant to be a pair. So one's in her Sunday best, and the other one is her as a beggar child, and they're supposed to go together. But you usually mostly see the beggar child one.
So
Um,
this was one of Lewis Carroll's photo
yeah,
projects.
it's one of his photographs of her. It's probably the most famous photo of her. There was just something. It's very well posed, and I guess there's just something iconic about it. I guess so. People really like this one. But anyway, it was interesting in a way. This cartoon was kind of referencing the photo as well as its pair with her dressed in her Sunday best, because you see her in both setups. Though that said, the design was different. Like she wasn't wearing exactly what the real Alice was wearing, but if you know what they were referencing. And also just kind of this like irony of her role playing being a beggar versus like actual orphans who live on the streets
Mm.
um, or docks of London.
Well, I guess for me, I didn't even think about it until just now because I thought she was part of this dream. Like, I didn't
Yeah,
think she was real. But now knowing that I guess everything did happen, now
yeah,
I'm even more confused as to what she was doing.
yeah. It is kind of like, what was she doing? Because she also wasn't involved with like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she was more separated from them. So it was like she knows who Lewis Carroll is, but you don't actually like, and she talks about him, but you don't see them interact really.
Yeah, I don't know. Just one more thing to be confused by.
I also like that Lewis Carroll like freaks out the kids by being like, "Don't wake up the dog. He's the one dreaming us." Just like you
Isn't
jerk.
that a quote? Isn't that like the king
It's
in Through the
definitely
Looking
a
Glass?
reference to Through the Looking Glass and the Red King, yeah. So it's also interesting because this episode is obviously somewhat researched.
Yeah, there was plenty of nods. It just, I was confused as to what everything was supposed to mean, like what the
Yeah.
ultimate point of the episode was.
Well, if I was to be an artsy fartsy reviewer or something, I do kind of wonder if the point of this episode was about Carol's essentially mysterious mythology. Because depending on who you ask, he could be a very different person, and the reality of who he was can be hard for some people to ascertain. I think I have, but I obviously didn't know him.
Hmm.
um, and in the end, it's kind of like these kids, for instance, thought Froggy was in trouble, but then it turns out she wasn't. But there's like this uncertainty about it. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of I don't know what to call it, but I feel like it's trying to play off of the uncertainty of Carol's legacy. And that said, like in the end, they err on this my camp and where nothing happened. But I don't really know what they were trying to say.
Hmm.
Also, why did she photograph as a frog? That's kind of weird.
Again, I assumed it was part of a dream, and then it wasn't a dream, and then I was just more confused.
Yeah, I will say like everything else was kind of a solid Carol reference, but her photographing as in a frog costume was really weird. Because as far as I know, it's not a reference to anything besides the character's name is Froggy.
I was trying to figure out if it was supposed to reference the frog footman, but there was nothing about being a footman. It was just
A
frog was the
frog.
only connecting tissue.
Yeah. Because yeah, as far as I know, I don't know any anecdotes about Lewis Carroll and frogs. I guess somebody just thought because the character's name was Froggy, it would be interesting if she turned into a frog. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
There's also that bit where they think they see Froggy in like a carriage, and it's not her at all. It's this old lady. That was really weird.
Was it supposed to be her? I I guess
When
not,
you
because
see her
it
pass
is
in the
real.
carriage, it looks like her. Yeah.
I didn't know what they were going for because at first I just assumed they were having a weird adventure. And then at some point, they're acting like the old lady was actually their friend, somehow aged up. And then this is the point where I was like, okay, this is just some sort of weird dream because they're acting
Yeah.
like this is actually what's happening. But then at the end, when it's revealed that everything was happening, like I was just, I was so confused by this whole episode.
I like. I do think it's kind of funny how it ends, where they're just grumpy and they're like, "I hate this."
What was with Lewis Carroll's design? Was he
It
supposed
was a
to
very
have
weird
glasses
design.
or did he have sunken eyes?
I think the idea was sunken eyes because he does have. I don't know. I don't want to use the word unique because obviously other people have eyes like he does, but like he has certain eyes. So I think they're trying to emphasize the sunkenness of them, I guess. But it just kind of looks weird and like he has huge eye crevices.
Yeah, maybe they were playing that up to make it to add to the unsettlingness of the whole episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like it's a caricature, so
Yeah.
um, I guess. And I'm kind of inspired to like freak some kids out that a dog's dreaming them to not wake the dog.
If you get the right kid, you could freak somebody out.
Yeah. I guess if I was to recommend checking any of them out, I would only recommend checking out Sincerely Yours, Lewis Carroll, if you are actually a Carolian. If you are a passive fan, I don't know if I would recommend checking it out as much. It is pretty short though, so like if you don't like it, you could stop. I don't, I liked Mentors, but I don't know if I would say it's worth seeking out. You know what? I don't. Okay, yeah, Mentors. I think I'd only seek out if you're Carolian as well. Orson Olivia, I would actually recommend just to check out if you like surrealist things.
Yeah.
If you like weird children's animation too, like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like there's a few like niches they could hit. If you like Victorian inspired, like kind of gritty parts of the society, because you see a lot of like stuff about Victorian upper class, but if you like depictions of the lower class, you might like it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's if you're Crowley, check that one out. Though maybe you might not be happy with it. I don't know. It's hard to say. It kind of hits a weird middle ground.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think out of all three of them, I'd probably recommend Orson Olivia the most.
I probably would too, but more as just an interesting piece of animation rather than a straightforward thing to be entertained by.
I find it entertaining. That might say something about me, but
I found it more
um,
confusing, but I guess it was entertaining because I was not like with Sincerely Yours, Lewis Carroll. I kind of got bored for part of it.
yeah,
So,
fair
but this
enough.
one I did not get bored with the Orson Olivia episode. I was
Yeah,
just I was kind of like locked in, like what on earth am I watching?
maybe we should try more episodes. That might be interesting.
I am curious to know what the show is supposed to be, because like,
Yeah,
is this an outlier or is the entire show this weird?
I got the vibe it's kind of both. Like this was maybe the weirdest episode,
That's kind of
but
what
I
I was
feel
thinking. Like, because
yeah, I still get weird vibes.
thinking back to shows I watched as a kid, once in a while there would be an episode where it was just like, this is the weird one. This is where something happens that normally the show is not like this. So I
Yeah.
kind of felt like that's probably what this episode was for Orson and Olivia. But also, I kind of hope it's not, and I kind of want the rest of the show to be this weird also.
Yeah, yeah. I think part of me has not watched the rest because I want to believe it's this weird. Another kids show that I remember having a surreal episode was Rugrats when they thought they went through the mirror. I guess that's a Looking Glass reference,
Is
but
it?
they think they went through.
Maybe we should look into that
Yeah,
for a future episode.
yeah. But that's another like one from when I was a kid where I thought that was a bit surrealistic. It was like a weird episode for me. I barely remember it.
I don't think I remember that one. I didn't watch Rugrats all the time. That was one of those shows because we didn't have cable. That was one of those shows that I only watched when we visited my grandparents because they had
Uh,
cable.
Kind of reminded me of, were you ever a kid? Did you ever, like, stand on your head, kind of, but not really, but, like, put your head on the ground and look up at the ceiling like it was the ground? Or was I weird?
I don't think I did that. I would once in a while try and stand on my head, but I was never able to. But it wasn't for
Yeah,
that
I never,
reason.
when I say stand on my head, I was never able to put weight on my head, but I liked going throughout different locations, especially my house, and doing that, and kind of feeling like I was in a different world by doing that. I guess I bring it up because the Orson and Olivia episode, like, feels like that to me. Kids like to be weirded out. Um,
Yeah,
now I kind of like, now I think it'd be fun to find more pieces of children's media like that.
that would be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that will be all for this episode. I'm sure we'll be back with something else. I don't know if it'll be quite as weird as Orson and Olivia, but
At some point, we'll come back with Dream Child.
yes, at some point we will. I don't have any immediate plans, but that is on my list. But it's been on my list for a long time. It's never been a huge priority, but at some point I will have to do that.
At some point, we're gonna run out of things to distract ourselves with.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Next time will probably be something a little bit more straightforward. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't decided what we're doing next yet, but it will be something interesting, I'm sure.
Of course.
Until then, do you want to let people know where they can find you on the internet?
Sure. Phantom Eyes on YouTube for my Alice Wonderland stuff, and Live Get to the Fairy Tale also on YouTube for anything else. It's been a while since I uploaded anything, but I'm hoping to upload a couple of things soon. So stay tuned.
Okay. Well, until the next time.
See you then.
Thanks for listening to Wonderland Wednesday. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and follow my co-hosts as well. All of our links will be in the description below. If you'd like more podcasts like this one, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well as most podcast platforms. If you'd like to support this show, check out Johncast Media on Patreon for everything here, plus bonus and extended episodes you won't find anywhere else. We'll be back soon with another brand new episode, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Come along and pass through the looking glass into Wonderland.